This is WCPO 9 News.
Thanks for joining us for WCPO 9 News. I'm Adrian Whitsett, and here's a look at some of today's top stories. Cincinnati Mayor John Cranley will sound the alarm for small businesses struggling to survive through pandemic restrictions. He's visiting Just Cicadas in Walnut Hills, where he will call for federal stimulus to be used by the city to help local restaurant and bar owners. Today's announcement is taking place at 4 p.m. A Deerfield Township woman has been found guilty after stabbing her husband nearly 40 times. Jurors in Butler County convicted Stormy Delahanty of murder and other charges. She stabbed her husband, Roman Roshupkin, in their apartment last July. Northern Kentucky University has made changes to its in-person grad ceremonies. The celebration now will take place inside NKU's BB&T Arena. The larger venue means there can be guests now. Commencement ceremonies will take place on May 8th and 9th. And if you will be in downtown Cincinnati this coming Monday, just know you will not be able to take Elm Street for a while. It'll be closed for more than a year between 5th and 6th Streets, right near the Duke Energy Convention Center, as crews begin their demolition work on the Millennium Hotel. That project is expected to wrap up next summer. Jennifer.
Well, the high wind warning and wind advisory continue to get pushed back more and more to the east as our winds are starting to settle down. Now, granted, they're not going to stop today, but they're no longer as high as what we saw overnight. But we did end up with several confirmed wind gusts at 50, 52, 56 miles per hour. So it was indeed a windy night. Today we will see some breezy conditions, mostly cloudy skies, and temperatures that will end up back near about the 60-degree mark. Over the weekend, though, a really nice improvement. Saturday will top out at 73 degrees. Just beautiful, mostly sunny. It's Saturday night that a new round of shower and thunderstorm activity will come through, and that will yield a cooler Sunday forecast with a bit more cloud cover. Sunday's high will come in the upper 50s, but let's be honest, the bulk of both days will be dry.
There's no way to get to the front of the COVID line for vaccine.
That is just one example of blatant misinformation spread online these days. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost told me this week it's the shift from internet to reality that has him worried for the country as a whole.
The ability for us to be free and govern ourselves depends on having mostly a set of facts that we all agree on.
Do you remember the very real reaction to a conspiracy theory linked to QAnon about what was supposed to happen in Washington just 3 weeks ago?
We have enhanced our security posture.
March 4th, the military, you may not have heard this, the military was going to put Donald Trump back in the White House on March 4th, except I missed that. It didn't happen.
Recently, Yost had a meeting where he told me he spent an extra hour sharing facts, debunking rumors, something he finds to be both troubling and necessary.
If you're having to take this extra chunk of time that could be used for something else, that could be used to help more people, and instead it's just trying to debunk misinformation that people are getting floated around.
Well, look, we've always had the problem of misinformation. The challenge today that's so unique is the fact that it's amplified by these algorithms on social media. And I think that it's the place of leaders to spend their time to try to correct the record, to make sure that we're all operating from some rough agreement on what the facts are.
Yeah, Adrian, the biggest changes for riders will include faster services and shorter crosstown routes, including some 24-hour service routes for those major corridors. The Reinventing Metro plan is a direct result of voters passing the tax levy about a year ago. To fill the expanded routes, Metro needs to hire at least 24 new drivers, and those positions start at $16 an hour and can go up to $27 an hour. Here's a common misconception. You do not need an existing CDL license. Metro will train and reimburse you for those costs. Jobs include full health, dental, and retirement benefits, and if you get hired and complete the probationary period before May 31st, you'll see a $1,000 bonus in your pocket. Metro continues to protect drivers with plexiglass barriers to keep distance between them and passengers, and Metro says that it values its employees and their commitment to the community because they are essential workers. So if you'd like to get behind the wheel of one of those buses, you can actually sign up for a virtual career fair. The first one is tomorrow, and we'll share those details on WCPO.com. For now, reporting downtown, Allie Kramer, WCPO 9 News.
We will, by my 100th day in office, have administered 200 million shots in people's arms.
President Joe Biden is setting a new goal for COVID-19 vaccinations. Biden announced the new benchmark after his administration achieved its initial goal of 100 million vaccinations last week, 42 days ahead of schedule.
I know it's ambitious, twice our original goal, but no other country in the world has even come close, not even close.
The fight against COVID-19 has merged with another challenge for the Biden administration at the U.S. southern border. Federal officials say more than 500 migrant children are in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19. That's about 4.4% of the children currently in custody. None have required hospitalization. Severe weather tore through the South, spawning a series of deadly tornadoes. The storms hit across 5 states. According to the National Weather Service, at least 14 tornadoes were reported in Alabama alone, destroying homes and businesses. Thousands of people were also left without power. Georgia becomes the first battleground state to impose new voting restrictions following President Joe Biden's victory there. Governor Brian Kemp signed a sweeping election overhaul bill. The new legislation will limit access to ballot drop boxes, allow for unlimited challenges to voter registrations, and shorten the runoff cycle. It would also make giving food or drinks to voters in line a crime. Kemp said by changing election laws, quote, Georgia will take another step toward ensuring their elections are secure, accessible, and fair.
The trial of Derek Chauvin, who's accused in the death of George Floyd, is bringing back a lot of painful memories for some Americans, especially when it comes to the body camera video. History may be bound to repeat itself, but there are certain parts of history that are difficult to return to.
America has imagined that it was well, when in fact it was quite ill.
David Eichhardt is a professor of African American Studies at Vanderbilt University. He has watched over the last year as this country has done a great deal of soul searching.
We shouldn't be surprised that this cancer of our racial unreckoning has metastasized. We shouldn't be surprised because it was totally and wholly predictable.
For David and many other Black Americans, the trial of Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin carries with it an immense amount of pain.
I think this is a moment. This is a real serious moment.
Perhaps most painful, though, is the video. Those awful moments where George Floyd is knelt on for nearly 9 minutes. A jury will ultimately decide if what happened in that video was criminal.
I have not seen the whole video in its entirety. I literally cannot watch it. I literally, the moment that George Floyd called for his mom, I shut it down.
It's important to understand just how deeply that video has impacted us as a nation. Important to understand how it makes many people feel even 10 months later.
That is a trauma. That is, I honestly don't know how people can continue to watch it. And in some ways, I think we've become desensitized to certain types of traumas.
There's been this gigantic boom of people of color looking for a therapist of color.
As a clinical social worker, Demetrius Perkins currently has a waiting list that is months long. She says the pandemic, coupled with the past year's civil unrest, has prompted a lot of African Americans to want to talk, which she encourages people to do.
Because they've had this time during COVID, time with themselves, they're starting to really realize, wow, there's this stuff that's been inside me for a long time, and now I cannot escape it.
If history is bound to repeat itself, perhaps there's something to be learned from what happened.
We're really, literally seeing the playing out in dramatic fashion, the soul of the country. Who do we want to be?
I'm Chris Conti.
In just a few weeks, millions of Americans will awaken to a loud experience that only happens once every 17 years. We're talking about a group of cicadas emerging from the ground, potentially by the billions. Here's what to expect. Birds chirping, flowers budding, warming weather, all herald the arrival of spring. And then there's these.
They essentially have Capri Sun straws as mouth parts.
This is a cicada.
Here we have all 6 of its walking legs.
And this is Trisha Nichols with the Philadelphia Insectarium and Butterfly Pavilion, a place full of all kinds of insects and other cool, creepy crawlers. This spring, the insect world is going to get a little more crowded thanks to one group of cicadas.
They do not have the ability to bite humans because they don't have the ability to bite.
So what's going on? Every 17 years, a group of cicadas known as brood X emerge from the ground, looking for a little love. And there's going to be a lot of them.
The cicadas will emerge potentially by the billions across 15 states, meaning tens of millions of Americans will likely encounter them. Cicadas aren't harmful to humans, plants, or pets. Birds enjoy eating them, so do some people. But the mating calls of cicadas are loud, in excess of 100 decibels, like a car stereo at maximum volume.
Cicadas actually have what's called a tympanum. So if you imagine, they almost have a drum, but it doesn't have drumsticks at all. It just pops back and forth like this, and it pops in a way that it makes that chirping noise, and they can vibrate it very, very quickly.
But just as quickly as they emerge, they'll start to fade out, and within 4 to 6 weeks, the cicada show will be over. The babies of brood X will head underground for another 17 years.
They dig down underneath the ground, and they spend 17 years drinking from tree roots, all right? And it takes 17 years for them to get enough nutrients and to gain enough energy to become an adult.
And like other 17-year-olds, ready to party once they do. In Philadelphia, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
The wide-open green spaces of America's national park system are about to get a lot greener with a new partnership between the National Park Foundation and Tupperware, the iconic kitchenware company. How is a food storage company connected to the country's span of national parks? We wondered that too.
And one of our core values is that we nature the world. We nature the planet for the good. And when we think about what national parks are trying to do, what they offer to the people of the U.S., we are convinced that our values actually are very connected in terms of educating people and protecting the planet.
Tupperware is about to hit its 75th anniversary, and the company wants everyone to know there's a lot more to them than what you might find in the kitchen.
Just 30% of our products are coming from food containers, and the other 70% is for many other things, from cooking with microwave, portable bottled waters, and other stuff. So, that's Tupperware.
On their journey to transform their company values, Senior VP of Sales and Marketing Luis Vasquez tells us their nonprofit arm realized what good they can do by joining forces with the National Park Foundation, which isn't the Park Service. Instead, it serves to support all 423 national park sites that we know and love.
We help them by raising money to make what they do even better and at a larger scale. So that could be around environmental education, it could be around conservation, or it could be around initiatives like sustainability.
CEO and President Will Shafroth says the government does the basics. The foundation provides the excellence.
The trail that you love to walk on in Yosemite is fine, but what we can do is allow it to be safer and increase the capacity of people going up and down it, and that so that it doesn't erode in time. And we can make those repairs maybe more through our support more quickly.
And they can do things a lot faster than the long and drawn out federal budget process.
If you want to do something that affects 2023 or 24, you need to start planning for it now and thinking about it. Whereas we can raise money today through a partner like Tupperware and begin to execute the changes immediately.
So when Tupperware pledged their support of $1 million, Shafroth and his team shared their ideas. For starters, there will be an addition of 65 water filling stations in 6 of the more high traffic sites that need them. places, like the National Mall.
Is going to basically result in a reduction of 10 million plastic water bottles that otherwise would be drunk.
Some of the money will go towards signage and direction about recycling. Some will go towards education and composting through solar panels, which will help run the food waste program, like these, seen at the Grand Canyon National Park.
Around 40% of the waste in the parks is coming from compostable products, either food or other raw materials. For example, what we're doing with the solar panels that we're installing is going to reduce around 1,000 tons of waste, plus the reduction on green gas emissions, because you do not need to move all that waste somewhere else.
When you think of it in terms of visitors, these parks see some 330 million people a year. People who bring a lot of waste. But Shafroth sees it as a chance to change mindsets for the greater good.
It also is a huge opportunity to educate those visitors about the importance of contributing in small ways, like just reusing your water bottle, not bringing in something like that.
I'm Stephanie Stone, reporting.
Doctors are using new technology to help patients who may have cardiovascular disease. HeartFlow analysis gives doctors a color-coded map of the coronary arteries, showing any narrowings that might be disrupting blood flow.
Believe it or not, blockages more than 30% can yield symptoms. And that's where HeartFlow is really accurate.
Previously, doctors would have to rely on an invasive procedure to verify this information. But with HeartFlow, patients get a standard coronary CT scan. From the CT images, HeartFlow creates a model of the patient's unique coronary anatomy.
Here you are at 1, look how fast this drops off. 1 to less than half. I mean, this is in the above 90% assurances, 95% assurances. This is walking out of the cath lab with a stent.
HeartFlow is the first non-invasive technology to evaluate patients for coronary artery disease. In recent years, there has been much discussion about reducing procedures that ultimately proved to be unnecessary. According to data from the American College of Cardiology, around 60% of invasive procedures found no obstructive coronary heart disease.
Many of you woke up overnight due to the high winds. We had confirmed wind gusts up in Lawrenceburg and Wilmington at 56 miles per hour, Dayton, Ohio at 54, VV 52, Oxford 52 miles per hour. Lots of power outages out there this morning because of those high winds and even some legitimate power lines down. Now, during the day today, we'll be finding the cloud cover for a good chunk of the day. Maybe some late day pops of sun coming through those clouds, but our temperature will end up around 57 to 60. I know, it's cooler, but we will fix that over the weekend, at least for Saturday's forecast. Saturday, we pop back up to 73 with a mostly sunny sky. Saturday night, though, our latest round of rain comes through, and that's why your Sunday temperature is lower in the upper 50s. Early Sunday morning, we could see a little bit of rain still left, but in general, that system will be moving out, even decreasing clouds for later on that afternoon. Next week, though, we've got another storm system coming in on Wednesday. That will actually cool us down and dry us out, but it's just in time for opening day, so at least it'll be dry, but it will be cool.
Miami Beach police have arrested more than 1,000 people this spring break season, seizing nearly 100 guns. And as night turns to day, evidence of more property damage emerges. But the chaos isn't representative of most tourists' experiences.
We're usually in bed by then anyway.
We just went inside. There's nothing else to do besides just stay in.
It doesn't really affect me at all.
Everyone during the daytime is wearing masks.
We didn't see many people on the streets. It seemed like everyone was obeying it.
Most people Newsy spoke with say they've obeyed the curfew.
Are you guys obeying the curfew?
Yeah. In the end of the day, we will still obey it.
Even if they don't agree with it.
They knew that we were coming down here for spring break, so they should have said that before we made plans.
Some just turned to alternatives.
Our hotel had a rooftop that was open, bar.
We went to Fort Lauderdale. It's busy, it's popping.
And so far, it seems like the only things the curfew has controlled are cutting profits for business and access to food.
It's really hard to get food.
Ain't no food out here, you hear me?
And we couldn't even get an Uber to deliver our food.
Yeah, it's a problem, and it's affecting us. We're still seeing how things are developing and what we need to do to adjust to the curfew.
Lauren Magarino, Chicago.
just like helping people.
Some elementary students in Florida are fundraising to help the homeless. They are collecting items like shoes, socks, and hygiene products. Their teacher says it's a way to teach the younger generation the importance of giving back.
I was totally in shock, excited, but also just couldn't believe something like this happened to me.
Students in Tampa surprised their high school teacher with a new roof on her house after winning a contest. Several current and former students wrote essays about the impact she had on their lives and why she deserved the help.
She gives back so much to the community that it's really nice that we are now able to give back to her.
She can now put the money she was saving for a new roof towards something else.
The smiles we're putting on people's faces in our community is just the best reward I could get out of this.
High school students in Cleveland are using a simple way to help lift the spirits of others. They launched a new campaign that places colorful flower yard signs across the city. They hope they will help brighten someone's day.
It lifted my spirit up because I love the colors of flowers.